Yes, I'm actually in Costa Rica,
Nice.
and I've been here for the past month. And sort of my home base, although I'm nomadic, is Northern California at the moment.
Whereabouts?
Santa Rosa area, Santa Rosa, Sebastopol, San Francisco. So I've been, um, yeah, just
Yeah. Other than my other big project, other than Coherence, is the Gathering, and there's going to be I'm spreading this format of a new kind of transformative festival for organizations. Uh, you can think of it as an intersection of Burning Man, an impact conference, a regenerative trade show, and there will be one in October in Northern California.
oh, do you know where? Or
At Camp Navarro, it's 2 hours
okay,
north of San Francisco.
okay, I'll look it up. Yes, that sounds lovely. And you're in Guatemala or Portugal?
I'm in Portugal. Yeah.
Okay. I've been following your posts that you've been sharing with Christine, and yeah, very appreciative. I really enjoy it. It's like a live show, reality show, the
Ah,
one that
amazing.
I enjoy.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we're trying to figure out how to make it work, and yeah, to bring a more playful and a new way of building an organization. I mean, in the end, I mean, there is a big component, right, of building an organization is playing together, right? It's what we do as adults, and
Yes.
if it's not fun, where does the motivation come from, right?
Hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Um, I could see the playfulness, and it seemed relevant to my own journey as well. You know, I've been talking to Christine for some time, and I've been thinking about coherence and technology, and uh, using technology or seeing other indigenous or other cultural flavors of technology, some of which I've been not some, but one of which I've been a practitioner of, which is the Indian continent, um, where they don't use the word technology, but there are other words that are used, like mandala and yantra and mantra. And I've been sort of a practitioner, and being a technologist, it's really kind of made me think on this theme of what technology is and how we define sort of the parameters for what is that we want to achieve with that technology. So yeah, I've been writing about it and thinking about it and conducting experiments. And I am a one-man show, so watching the coherence updates has been cluing me into uh, what might be missing. Because for me, collaboration is a piece that I have been invoking, and yeah, so it's sort of timely, you know. Um, yeah, maybe I pause there, but I've been using the word coherence myself and been thinking about what coherence is in its deeper dimension. So it was very interesting that I started seeing Coherence Company at the same time.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I don't want you to stop, but two things that I wanted to connect with. I really like this idea of psychotechnology. Have you come across this expression before?
Uh, I think you mentioned that to me in a call a few weeks ago. But yes, maybe not in the exact same way. I think you mentioned one of the philosophers who it
Yeah,
came from. I
John
forget.
Vervaeke, because you mentioned I think you mentioned yoga or meditation, and those are all psychotechnologies. So yeah,
Yes.
if you've been following us, then you'll have a bit of a sense where we're at. We're here. We're working to build this organization and grow it. Uh, yeah, I don't know what questions can I answer or
Oh, yes. But Okay, yeah, your video went away for like a good 3 seconds, but it's back. It's back now.
Hmm.
Um, well, two things come to mind. Well, one is that when I'm thinking about technology, I'm also taking examples from 16th century Western Europe as some examples I discovered of, you could say, technologies for transformation, right? So these technologies are not just psychotechnologies, but I would say they're more coherent technologies. Actually, that's a good word. And by that I mean is that when I'm thinking of coherence, I've started to see, initially I was thinking of my mind, body, and spirit, emotions, thoughts all being coherent, all being in integrity. So they're moving in the same direction. And since I started talking with Christine and you, I've been thinking about, okay, how does that envelope collaboration and a community? Uh, but then it goes vaster. These technological things that I was mentioning of yoga and 16th century Europe, which is hermeticism connected with Greece and Egypt, or even Neoplatonism, the coherent structure actually maps the entire universe, where there is correspondences happening, uh, let's say, between the sun and my circadian rhythm, the moon and the gestation in the womb. And how does that reflect? It's like we're all mirrors. That's one analogy. I'm hearing a lot of my echo, by the way.
Interesting. I don't hear. I hear you perfectly, actually.
Okay, okay, good. Maybe I just turn it down a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I've been thinking about it. But these technologies are also very physical, if you want to use that word. An example is yantras, or also mantras. Yantras are geometric structures, and there's a lot of correspondence between those and contemporary technologies. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is how to map those two. And one example is when you look at a circuit board, it is a geometrical configuration of the flow of currents and stuff like that. That's a very, perhaps a naive example. Um, but yeah, maybe I paused there, but you asked me, unless if something comes from you, I think you asked me, how can you help? Is that?
Yeah. How can we play? What?
Yes.
I am. Currently, I love philosophy at times, but currently I am in super action mode.
Yes.
So, from our side, there is two invitations. One is to look at building the company, joining the teams, building the work streams, and yeah, creating a company around this. And the other one is around building a community of practice. So that's bringing together people that are working on these kinds of ideas, building out a shared language, a shared vocabulary, and a shared toolbox,
Hmm.
right? Because what we're building with the Coherence company, of course, is just one tool out of many, many, many. Uh, and that's where the community of practice comes, bringing together practitioners, so facilitators, event organizers, network builders, ecosystem weavers. So
Yes.
from our side, those are two of our invitations to play. What are your invitations? How can we be of service to what you're working on?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely interested in the community of practice at this point. And the other details of what you shared, you know, I'm interested, but the other things I'm not so clear about. So maybe learning a bit more about them. Um, I well, definitely, Coherence Company has been an inspiration for me to think about how ideas, post meetings, how do ideas connect and what's missing that doesn't take it, the problem that you're trying to solve essentially. And from the point of view of, I'm thinking about it from the point of view of human transformation, which is where I'm trying to frame technology. And it's not so much philosophy, actually. My work is really one of a practitioner. So one way maybe I can frame it is that there are ontologies or maps. Like when you look at yoga or you look at hermeticism or the framework of how a business is going to start and get funded and stuff. It's a kind of ontology. It's kind of a map that you follow. And there are kinds of technological maps. I'm using the word technology loosely because it's coming from different places. Um, there are maps that are simultaneously the territory. So that is something I'm very interested in sharing and exploring. So there are maps that are simultaneously territory, meaning that as you walk the map, you encounter the territory. And the territory in this case is the entire universe, right? And we're already entering into a paradigm where we are having encounters with UFOs and other intelligences, and in certain cultures, this is very normal. And even if you don't acknowledge a lot of the ideas and things that are happening in our sphere right now, uh, my view or my understanding of reality is that they are very much present in how our reality is being shaped. But in our older paradigm, we try to intellectualize and try to understand through reason alone what is that we can do and what is happening, so we can sense make. Um, so yeah, I think one thing that's sort of clear to me is one thing that I want to bring to the picture is that to bring these other dimensions into the sense making process, be it through AI or through technology, because they're very, very much part of it and can allow us to perhaps make the kind of leaps that we would like to make. Um, and so I'm conducting actual experiments on this, and I'm trying to, in my humility, because I'm not a master of this, but I have had enough experiences that I'm confident that this is, in fact, the way forward, and many many people are actually walking this way. So I'm trying to form a collaboration around that. Um, but the question is the same one that perhaps you are asking, which is how to use technology uh, for coherence and collaboration being an aspect of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where AI as an interface to technology and AI as a sense making organ creates a huge potential, because until now, technology has mostly been uh, focused on super how is it, the very quantized, I don't want to say the kind of data driven, and with AI it can sense make in something which feels much more organic. I mean, it's still digital, but it definitely feels like digital intelligence has taken a few steps towards our way of looking at the world, right?
Absolutely.
Certainly, the some of the most probably the most satisfying experiences of working with a computer, and I've been working with computers for 40 years, have been through interacting with AI. So the potential is incredible, and the potential of getting it to help us be wiser and us training it so it is wiser is, I think, one of the most important questions of our times.
I agree, actually. Yeah, I've been using AI a lot and have been thinking about this and having conversations um, on how to interact with AI. What's the what's the and it's a moving target, as you know, because its technology is changing, and maybe there will be some significant jumps even as we're talking in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years that we might not be able to predict. So there's that. But I definitely feel that it has opened the at least map for myself to polymathy, which is to not confine oneself to one area or one domain, but to really connect. Um, I was recently able to have, I do a podcast and I recently interviewed a sort of a quantum physicist for uh, a very rich set of papers published in top journals around dimensionality, dimension of space and time. And I gave myself like a week to really dive deep, but with the help of AI, I was able to digest complex mathematics and ideas that I'm interested in, but there is no way I could have done it in 15, 20 hours of work, maybe 300 hours of work. So yeah, I saw it that this is just going to open up, already has opened up potentials, as you're saying, of connecting all domains of knowledge and arts.
Yeah. Uh, and at the same time, what I think, so definite, there is a big learning curve from our side in figuring out how to apply and how to ask the right questions. There's always a pattern that is emerges. There's always a pattern with new technology that whenever we get some kind of a new capability, we try and do the same old stuff just with the new technology, right? My favorite example is I printed this document, signed it, scanned it, I'm emailing it to you. Can you print it, sign it, scan it, and email it back to me? Right? Is that a digital workflow? Well, kind of, but it's barely a step beyond having stuck it in an envelope and mailed it to me, and actually less satisfying in certain ways. So,
Yes.
and that's how we use all new technologies. It takes us a whole chunk of time to really figure out what does the new paradigm allow.
Yes.
Which is why I think it when it there is a huge going to be a huge interesting window over the next few years as we experiment and until we figure out new ways, new paradigms of using this technology and working with this technology.
Yes. Actually, that's an area that I'm really trying to create a play for myself, and I would like to play if there is a possibility there, and that is to design experiments uh, to discover these new paradigms. That is something I've been thinking about, writing about, and actually, what I was sharing with you is exactly this: is to what kind of experiments I can run to discover those. And so, for example, one of the word I've been using is talismanic technology. So if you're familiar with the word talisman, I've actually been exploring recently, just past few days, the etymology of the word talisman because it comes from different cultures. It's evolved over time. And so talisman itself is a technology, it combines psychic technology with physical technology so that the physical technology has a psychic dimension. It has a will and intention embedded in technology by itself. And this is not to say that technology already does not embody will and intention, but to consecrate the technology in a way, or to design the technology in the first place, that intention and action is imbued in it. So it kind of becomes a sort of a perpetual motion machine to, it's just coming to me this word, maybe not the best word. Um, but I think that's sort of the cusp we are at. And so I've been thinking about, I'm not going to say that I know this because I don't know the answers, and that's the part of the struggle. But I know that it's very much possible and it has been done before, um, because this is how technology used to be up until the 16th century, till we separated the talisman side, which is the intention and action being separated from technology as an automaton, to completely make it a like a
Can you,
robotic instrument.
can you give an example of what happened during this separation? I'm not sure if I fully understand.
Yeah, so I actually wrote a short paper or a case study to kind of illustrate that, but and I can send it to you. I think Christine shared it at the Coherence Company Telegram. But it was called Recovering the Spiritual Roots of Technology. And the example, to make it brief, is from 16th century um, ancestor of Kepler. You might have heard of the name Johannes Kepler, who was a famous astronomer.
Of course.
Very yeah. And so it was his ancestor and teacher, um, and he created this. Uh, his name was Tycho Brahe. His name was Tycho Brahe, and he created one of the first sort of observatories, alchemical observatories in Denmark, and it became like a collaborative school where people were creating technologies that were also in sync with the rhythms of nature to create medicines that were impacted by the planet Jupiter or the moon, combining astrology and astronomy. So really bringing in meaning into technology, embedded inside technology itself. So Uh, yeah, and in that process, the power of that process is ultimately that when you use this technology, the process of that using itself yields into transformation of the individual simultaneously. So it's not just I'm utilizing technology, but I'm simultaneously transforming myself and transforming matter. So it's a deeper sort of thread, but it's happened multiple times. So this example is very good because Uh, this guy is an ancestor of Newton and Kepler, and this is public domain knowledge. Another example would be the work of Isaac Newton. This is also public domain knowledge that we think of Isaac Newton as the sort of the emblem, the symbol of rationality, because but the truth is he was an alchemist, and even his work on light and the laws of motion were alchemical works, and now we have them in the papers have been what is declassified. His work has been declassified, and he was not even separating the two. He was looking at how
Yeah, I mean,
so all of that.
it was
Yeah,
it was different in those days, right?
yes. So the key is to not throw the baby with the bathwater, and to bring um, the connection of our will and intention with the technology itself. That where can they two be welded together, and to conduct experiments on that. And another quick example I can give is when I use AI, I sometimes imagine AI as an empty space, like an infinite space, and I allow myself to think of it as a search function into infinity, into an interface of infinity. And so the question is, does me having that intention and that process change the outcome of the result? And this will be the basis of a phenomena called synchronicity, which is it's a much studied phenomena in quantum physics. It's not even spirituality. We're talking about quantum entanglement, where space and time collapses and everything in the entire universe is connected. So, in my life, I'm sure you go to all these events. There is a lot of synchronicities that happen where you intend on doing something
Well,
and it's just handed to
the
you.
gathering is actually an event that's designed to create a very powerful synchronicity field.
Exactly.
It's exactly there is. Have you come across this idea of psychomagic?
Sure, sure. I haven't heard that word, but I think I understand.
It comes originally from Khodorovsky, but it was also developed in the late 80s. Uh, kind of this kind of art scene in San Francisco and in that world out of which Burning Man came out, which is the famous one. But it's very interesting. There is a really great book I read about it, Psychomagic: Live Your Life as Art. And yeah, that's very, this is the, in a way, when it comes to matching, This is the question: can the AI amplify that field of probability and serendipity?
Well, I think the answer is yes. I think it's the question is to actually for me it's very interesting because something that you know probably I don't know if you talk apples and oranges, but I want to use the word intuition, right? So intuition is that you're, for me, just to define it, is I'm working on six papers of quantum physics, whatever, trying to understand something, or I don't know, coherence. And then all of a sudden, I have this question I'm trying to figure out, and all of the sudden, I get hit with the answer, right? The answer just shows up. And usually the intuition is before the rational mind. So you have to kind of, I'm learning to protect it. You have to protect it because the rational mind immediately comes and creates all kinds of doubts and linear steps as to why that's not the answer. But I want to conclude by saying that if you enter into a flow state or a state where you can protect your intuition and honor your intuition, then you enter into a state of inspiration. And to me, inspiration is where you have just a cacophony of ideas, right? A cacophony of answers, 5 answers, 10 answers to multiple ways of looking at a problem. And you also feel an ecstatic rapture coming with that. Some people say, meeting the muse. Um, and I see that AI actually increases that. If you have a certain kind of attitude, I'm learning that there is a way, I'm already attuning myself that there is a way to interact with AI to enter into a state of rapture where you have multiple ideas, answers, connections just coming in. So I've been seeing it again and again. Um, so that is where, but I don't have a process. I have a feeling because I'm a heavy user uh, in studying, texts like the text that you mentioned, those kind of texts, and also texts of like physics and these kind of things, and writing with AI as well, and learning the process of not sacrificing my own intuition and inspiration because the answers are just given to me. So I'm learning how to navigate the pluses and minuses of, amplifying, but also not just offloading my own development to AI, which is a real risk.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this is why I'm developing this. My interest is how to build technologies where we can work with the AI together
Hmm.
and build out this field together. So, in terms of experiments, I think once we have more and many more of these conversations recorded and stored and in the field together, then it will be really interesting to see how do we run collective sense making and synthesis and aggregation across them. We will see. uh,
Yeah. Uh, well, two things that are coming to my mind along this thread, which is what I want to play with, and I would be really it would be really fun for me if you think that there is a place for it or some energy that can go in this direction. Uh, well, definitely, one is how does intention combine with this technology? It could be very specific to AI. I'm I'm already thinking about different physical technologies, but AI is, of course, is perhaps the easiest one to conduct these experiments on because it's conversational and maybe closer to the how our intention system operates. And the other would be along the lines of synthesis, collaboration, development of ideas. As you have been highlighting, what's the missing piece that people meet at the gathering and other places, and then we don't have the coalescing uh, that we think should happen, but oftentimes it's not happening with the frequency perhaps that you would want. That's what I understand from a few of your talks.
uh, Yes. The answer is yes. The thought that came to me now, I mean, you have a podcast, right? So you have
Yes,
some sort of an audience.
yes,
Maybe what could be interesting is, I mean, we're still maybe a month away from it, but we could start. We could definitely get you started if you would be up to playing and trying to have. So the UI that you see is basically what it's going to be. The only thing that's missing is question prompts, because the idea is that every coherence conversation has some question prompt. So that would be a really cool thing if you could help with. We can set you up if you could have a few of these conversations, and then we'll have the transcript and the answers to the questions, and it also gives you something. I mean, you can either use our system, or you can take the transcripts, run your own analysis, synthesis experiments.
I see. So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that I can have a series of conversations and also perhaps take conversations that you are having along these themes with the prompts, and then the actual task would be to synthesize and see
Yeah, I
what
mean,
kind of experiments and answers are coming out of that.
yeah, I mean, the first step is, and this is why we're building the system, right? So the idea is that this conversation, right, we're here in the presence of the AI is listening. That's what we mean. We're playing with this idea of, so what we need to do to get people to enable, as you said yourself, creating a mental model, right? And in a way, what we're proposing here is that when you step into a coherence conversation, you're stepping into the field, right? Because people need a mental model, and to understand that this conversation here, it's not a private conversation, right? We only see the two of us, but it's going to be published on YouTube, and the AI is here and the AI is listening. And what we're trying to really figure out is how to put it in such a way that it doesn't feel like surveillance, right? Because this is, like, oh, somebody's recording my message. And actually, we've kind of, everybody accepted all of the Zoom calls, there's an AI, but it's like, where is all of that going? So instead, we want to create a framing where people are excited. I'm stepping into the field. I'm training this AI together with everybody, like stepping on stage. In the right context, it's an exciting thing. But it's important to give people this mental framing, right? So that's why we have in the field. It's an experiment. We need to come up with something. But to give people a mental framing, I'm here, I'm not so much performing, but I'm speaking in the public eye, right? Which means, of course, we all have mental models that we behave differently in different contexts, and this is your public context. And then, yes, okay, so we have these conversations, people speaking about these ideas. How do we get the AI to synthesize it into something meaningful? And all of the things will, and to be honest, this is an area which I am not an expert at, and I hope we will attract people quickly who are more expert at this, because I can clearly see, you have a lot of conversations, and then there is bias, all of the usual things that come up with not squashing minority views and those kinds of things. But the first step is the conversations and getting the transcripts and bringing it all together. But as you can see, I mean, this conversation is working right now. The transcript stuff, I'm just working on it now. It's not there yet, but it will be there in a few hours. So this could be, if you would be interested in running some experiments, that could be something that would be definitely a contribution to the Coherence company. And then the idea is that there will be an agent, and then, for example, you could run a Coherence conversations event for your podcast listeners, and then they have conversations with each other, and so on and so forth. It's not stable enough yet that we can open it up to tens of people to run it themselves, but it will. But we can definitely set you up so you're able to run some conversations, and start thinking and building a mental model, right, of how do we use this technology to invite people into conversations, and then how do we then take those conversations and turn it into collective sense making.
Yeah, I like it, and I'll think about it in terms of the experiments. Yeah, please do set me up. And I like the what it says in in field. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I like how you thought about it, and you were explaining as the recording and the public front of what is being said. Uh, but also this wider idea that we are in a field, coherent with not just the AI, but coherent with so many more things that we take for granted. I mean, I'm standing here and my molecules of my body are not decohering because of a lot of things. And that is a theme I'm thinking about it. How awareness of that can be brought into the technology? And I wonder, as an experiment, if that will have an impact on the result that you are trying to optimize for, which I think can optimize a number of things. I mean, that's the intuition I'm working with. It's like, if I'm not coherent with the circadian rhythm of the sun, then the odds that I will be joyful and have creative ideas and be kind to people around me and to myself are less, right?
Right.
So, but oftentimes that's not a priority that we keep to include that into the sphere of coherence. So if technology has that embedded in it, because usually we have technologies that take us away from the rhythms of nature, for example, right? But how can that be embedded into the technology that somehow that serves us? But anyways, that's the question that I'm curious to design experiments on. So I'm thankful that if you can include me in the set me up for some of these task conversations.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll talk to Christine tomorrow,
Okay.
and we will organize it. We have to figure out, as we said, we're building the train and the train track as we're moving.
As we're moving, yes.
But I think it's starting to get to the point, and I'm happy we managed to have a conversation. Nothing crashed. This is already a plus. This is the third or fourth time that we're having the conversation, so that's really great. And yeah, I mean, it would be really great to start having you wrap your head around it. And with the field, the mental model that I want people to have is that we're building this field together, right? So by coming here, you're entering, and this actually gives me ideas, right? It would be interesting to show to, like, when you in the lounge at the start, of how many other people have been in this field, what has been contributed already. But yeah, it's important to figure out ways to help people build a mental model and to become excited, because I want people, we're training the AI to see the world the way we want to do it. This is important work. It's interesting.
Hmm. Hmm. It seems like you're highlighting that as I enter into a conversation, somebody new into the coherence ecosystem, they already have a mental model of the ecosystem, but you're also saying that we want to impart to the AI what our intention is, what we actually want to achieve. Is it both ways?
So the people who are setting the ground for the field, right, they put an intention, right? What kind of a field do I want to create? It might be very professional, right? We're a association of plumbers, and how does, da da da. It might be more theoretical, mystical, but whoever creates the invitation, right? There is a human which because the coherence, fundamentally, I work on the idea of events, right? So every coherence, a coherence conversations event, and as with any event, the person who crafts the invitation, crafts the intention of what is the field that they're inviting people to co-create.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like it, and I look forward to. If you want to share the transcript, I can try to pull out some synthesis.
I think the transcript recording wasn't there yet, but I can make a transcript from the video.
Okay.
And yeah, great. Well, it's been wonderful talking, and
Yes,
I
thank
look
you.
forward to being in touch.
Yes, thank you, Victor. Thank you for chatting and your time as well.